this is Pratik Joshi and welcome to my YouTube channel Cloud Geeks. Today I'm back with one more important video on this channel, and the video will contain a very crucial service of AWS, that is AWS Cloud 9. Okay, so the agenda of this video will be like this. So we are going to look into AWS Cloud 9 service. We'll understand what is Cloud 9. We'll quickly create a Cloud9 environment into AWS, and then we are going to implement a Java+Maven based project, and we'll try to access few files onto S3 bucket, and we'll see how it works. We will run that code and we'll validate the output as well. Okay, so this will be the agenda of this tutorial. We are going to look into all these things step by step. Okay, and one more thing which I wanted to add here is, guys, I'm preparing this complete course in a way that if you go through this complete course properly, you will be able to give the certification of solution architect as well. Okay, so I'm preparing this complete course in a way where I'm trying to cover the theory part as well as the practical part. Okay, so let's get started with that. Let's have an introduction of Cloud9 first of all. So Cloud9 is a cloud-based integrated development environment, which means IDE, and that lets you let you write, run and debug your code with just a browser. So this is very unique service and very out of the box innovative idea which AWS came with, that they are now providing IDE in your browser itself. So till time what we used to do is we are having multiple softwares and multiple IDEs in our system, like Eclipse, NetBeans, and then IntelliJ, and then we used to write our own code and do all that stuff, right? So exactly the same concept but into a browser based model. So you just have to create your environment into Cloud9 and you are ready to write your own code on browser. Okay, don't worry, we'll quickly look into that as well in our practical session. Okay, so it includes a code editor, debugger and terminal, the same way which we are having in our local system IDE softwares, right? Cloud9 came with pre-packaged with essential tools for popular programming languages. Okay, so Cloud9 by defaultly came up with a bundle. So whenever you are creating an environment, specific environment of Cloud9, there are few pre-packaged installations will be automatically done on behalf of you by Cloud9. Okay, so like OpenJDK will be automatically get installed, and there are a few other popular languages. So the same way, all that pre-package will be automatically taken care by Cloud9. Okay, on top of that, let's say if you wanted to do something explicitly, if you wanted to install Maven, and if you wanted to create a Maven based project, you can install Maven as well. Okay, we'll have a look at that. Since your Cloud9 IDE is cloud-based, you can work on your project from office, home or anywhere using your credentials itself. Okay, so you don't have to worry much on that part. What you have to do is, let's say if you have a specific credentials, you can simply use this credential in your office, open your IDE in your browser, do your work. Let's say if you can continue your work at your home as well with the same implementation. You just have to log in to AWS service from your home, right? I hope you got this concept. Okay, now let's look at the benefit of Cloud9 service. So code with just a browser, which we briefly covered, code together in real time. So it is giving you the feature and functionality to pair programming as well. Two people can do the coding at the same point of time. Build serverless application with ease. So let's say if you are working with Lambda, you can easily coordinate and integrate or configure your triggers of Lambda with any other particular service of AWS using this IDE as well. Okay, so direct terminal access to AWS, that you will directly get the terminal access to AWS. Now what does that mean? So that means that the same way, let's say if you have created an EC2 instance in your Linux machine, you will have a terminal, right, where you can execute your command. Exactly the same terminal you are going to get in your browser, right? So you don't have to connect to the EC2 instance using your SSH key or any other thing. You can directly have the terminal ready with you, and you can use the benefit of it, right? So now this is what the introduction part of cloud. Now let me take you through the console part. Okay, so here we are in my console, AWS console, right? So what we are going to do here, as I already covered, we will going to create an cloud9 environment, and then we are going to write a code which is Java+Maven based code, which will access few files present onto S3, and we'll see how that works. Okay, and for this complete tutorial I have created two IAM users. One is for a complete S3 access and one is for IDS access, which we are not going to cover right now, but just for the sake of information I'll drive you through all that services. So let's look into IAM, and I'll tell you what this user will look like. Okay, so I have two users already created. One is for S3, which is this one. I'm using the same user which I'm using for some other video as well, and second user is S3 user. Okay, and this is the RDS user. So if you look into this user, I have specifically added a permission of AWS 3 full access. Okay, so this user will be able to access the S3 bucket, whereas in case of IDS user, the policy which I have attached is not related to S3, and which won't be able to use it. Okay, so while doing that, I will also cover that how we can create multiple user, how we can add multiple user using the AWS CLI as well. Okay, so that part will also going to be covered onto this session. So now let's jump into the S3. So I'll give you a quick identification that what is my bucket and what will be the file inside it. Okay, so this is my bucket which I have created, and I have updated, I have added one file in my S3 bucket. Okay, so you can see this file which I have added into my S3 bucket. So what we will try to do is we will try to read this file's metadata using our code, right? So now I have given you the identification and walkthrough of IAM and S3. I'll take you through the Cloud9 environment, and I will demonstrate that how we can create the Cloud9 environment, right? So let's jump into Cloud9. So we are into Cloud9 environment. Here they have briefly identified and told us that what all things Cloud9 is supported to, and what all things you can achieve using the Cloud9 environment. Okay, so let's start with creating an environment first of all. So while creating an environment, if you click, they will ask you to give us a specific name. So I will write the name of Cloud Gigs, right? That will be my environment name. Next, we don't have to do much on here. If you see here, they will create a new EC2 instance for you in a background, right? And then the instance type will be T2 micro, that is 1 GB RAM plus 1 CPU. You can go for any other instance as well as per your choice, but this one is free, and that is the reason I'm using the free tier instance. Okay, now it comes with a two flavor, so Amazon Linux and Ubuntu server. Now there is not much difference in this two flavor. Amazon Linux is something which is a specific wrapper created by Amazon on top of Ubuntu. Okay, so you can choose any of that. The only difference between these two is slightly they are the command which you are going to execute is changed. Okay, they are slightly different from each other. So I'll go with Ubuntu server, and let's create an environment. It will take few seconds and will be ready within few time. Yeah, so our environment is ready over here, and as you can see here, this is our welcome dashboard page, and then this will be our main terminal window over here, right? And this will be our environment specifications. So whatever you are going to do, this is our home directory and the name of your environment which got loaded over here. Okay, so let's say if you wanted to create a new terminal, what you have to do is you need to create a new terminal over here, and then the new terminal will going to be created here, right? Same way you can create a new file here which can be your IDE specific development window. Okay, so this will be the main IDE console. You can create a file, like you can have your own code from here, like JavaScript file, HTML, Python file. So these are the predefined templates presented over here, right? And then you can find your file over here. You can run your written code from this page. Okay, so there are so many other options using which you can play around with. Okay, so let's try to first of all check our prerequisites. So we are going to use this environment for Java plus Maven based project. So we'll quickly check whether Java is installed over here or not. So let's execute a command. Perfect, Java is already there with the version of 1.8.0, right? And if it is not the desired version 1.8.0, you can simply update or add a new version with 1.8.0 by installing openjdk, and the command will be the exactly same which we are using into the Ubuntu machine, right? So we are good here. Let's have a look at our AWS credential file. So let me go to the root directory. To go to root directory, what you have to do is tilde and slash and then ls-la. Oh, I'm sorry. So let me have lal, right? So we have an AWS file over here. Let's look into the AWS file, because what we are going to do is we are going to add few users which we are having already created into IAM. We are going to add it over here. Okay, so I'll give you that idea that how you can do this work. Okay, so to do that, what you have to do is you need to go into the AWS. Okay, and then you have a credential file over here. Okay, but then in this credential file you have to, if you open this file, right, in that case you can see that a default user is added. Now what is this default user? This default user is the root user which is there, but we are not supposed to use that. Okay, so what we are going to do is we will going to add another user over here, and that will be our custom user which we have created. So I'll quickly open another service IAM, and I will quickly load the IAM credentials over here, right? So I am into my IAM console, and this is the user which I'm going to put the data into the credential file. Now the purpose of doing this is only to make you understand that using the credential file you can directly put your credentials into that. Okay, and I have created a complete new video for the same process for Windows machine. So currently we are doing into Linux machine, but I have one more video in to do the same kind of a process to do into Windows machine, so where you can install your own AWS CLI as an MSI. You can install it as a exe file. The program will be installed on your machine, and into that, then after you will be able to access the public API which you have created, like S3 or RDS. You can access this using the AWS CLI. Okay, so while for accessing that services using the CLI, this entry of IAM user should be there, and that data that credentials will be added, so that you will have the authentication to access the service. Okay, so you can find the link over here for the same video. You can do the exact same thing in Windows with practical session which I have demonstrated to you. Okay, so let's continue here. And the credentials, security credentials which I am using over here is this one, okay, which will be my access key. So I have already downloaded the file for that, and I will use that credentials to put into the AWS console. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the credential file. Okay, so this is my access key, so I'm going to use this access key here, right? This will be my secret access key. I'll replace the secret access key here, right? And this will be my username, so I will also add the user over here, which is default. Okay, rest of the two things is not required, I'm removing it, so I'll save that thing over here now, right? So we have added our credentials. One is our default and one is our CG, that is Cloud Geeks S3 user. Okay, and it is highly recommended and best practices of AWS that whenever you are working with any of the service of AWS, make sure that you are using an AWS credentials. Okay, great. So with that, let me close this. And let's clear this window up. Okay, so now we have our S3 bucket created. So what I'm trying to do is I will try to load the S3 bucket list. So for that the command is AWS S3 and ls. Okay, if we execute this, it is going to load the bucket name, right? Because this is the default one. We haven't provided any specific profile name over here, so the default credential will is picked up, but you can execute the same command using the profile. Now what does this profile mean? Profile means the IAM user which you have added. Okay, so we have added CGS3 user, and we'll see whether we are able to get it or not. And yes, we are able to get the complete data out of here. Okay, so if you open this S3 and if you add some other user which is not having the access of accessing the S3 bucket, you will going to get access denied error over here. Okay, so now quickly look into the file which we are having inside this one. So for that, AWS S3, I think AWS ls. I'm a bit confused, let me try. Okay, S3 ls S3 colon Cloud Geeks 1 hyphen profile CGS3 user, and yes, right? So I'm going to by using this command, what you are saying is load all the data which is present into the Cloud Geeks bucket name, and it got loaded the exact same data which we have loaded. Okay, so this is pretty good. Let's go to our next agenda, and that is that we wanted to create a new project into our Cloud Geeks. Okay, so let's try to create a project. Okay, so for that, for ease of this implementation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone a GitHub URL. So I already have a URL, I already have a project got created, that is Java S3 AWS Cloud 9 example. You can use the same example for your ease. Okay, so you can simply clone this repository and put it into Cloud9 environment, and it will be very much helpful to you. Okay, so let's clone, but before cloning that, let me see whether I'm having a Maven install here or not. Okay, so for that, mvn version, and Maven is not there, so we have to install first Maven. Okay, so let's install it. Sudo okay, and your package will be installed in a no time. Okay, let's quickly again execute, and this is our version. Okay, so now we are good to go with our code. Okay, so let's clone the URI I have already copied that, so let's paste it and hit enter. Now you can see the code is getting loaded, and the repository is getting loaded into your Cloud9 environment, and the code which you can see over here is completely like Java and S3 and then service file and the constant file which I have created, right? So this will be our POM file for our Maven. I'll quickly take you through the POM file. What I have added is the AWS SDK, which is not required in this case because already loaded into that case, so here programmatically you can be able to access this. Okay, this is my mistake, I have added it 2 times, sorry for that. And then I am adding a Maven build assembly code. Now why this is required? So that I will have a fat jar created out of this code when I'm executing Maven package command. Okay, so all these dependency will be readily available into my same jar file, and due to that reason only I'm creating the fat jar. Okay, and this will be the name of the main class, right? So this is my entry class. This is the main entry class. What I have created over here is I have created a new class over here, which is my common service class, where the actual code of communicating to S3 bucket is written. So I'm creating an object of it. I'm creating an AWS credential object from here, and then I'm actually creating S3 client from here. Okay, and then using the S3 client, I'm calling a service called get object of common service class. So if you look into the common service class, I'm having very simple class present over here, which is not doing anything, where I am having only a few parameters which will communicate to the S3 bucket. So S3 client dot list object, and you have to provide the bucket name over here, and then if the size is greater than 0, I'm just simply printing the object summary, which is object metadata. Right now, to identify this common constant, I have created a constant class where here we will provide the property file, access key id and secret access key, and then bucket name to execute this code. Okay, so let's do that way. Okay, so I already have that access key and access id, so I'm going to put that only. And then I am having a bucket name called Cloud Geeks 1. Okay, so we are good to go here. We have all the property files ready. Now if you are wondering that these properties, this access secret key you will use in your code, so I'll surely remove this apart. Okay, because I don't want you to use these credentials for me, for your case, and I'll be charged for that, right? So now we are good to go. Let's just build our project. Okay, so for that what we have to do is we have to first of all go into the Java S3 bucket, so sorry, in the folder. Right, so let's go into the Java S3 okay, and let's clear it out. And then as we are into our Java, what we have to do is we have to execute our Maven package. Okay, but before that, one thing which I noticed is the structure is not correct. Somehow while loading the file into S3, something went wrong. I'm not sure what was that, but the structure is not correct. So if you closely remember, the structure of Maven should be src/main/java, correct? So if it is not there, your project is not going to build up properly. It is not going to identify the files present onto the your base structure. Okay, so it is not going to compile. So first of all we need to do that. Let me quickly add new folder. This is a learning as well for us. I'll add src. I'll create one more folder over here, and I'll name it as main. And then what I'm going to do is I'm completely dragging this Java folder into the main folder. Okay, so now we are having src main/java. Everything is ready. So what I will do is I will simply package it out. Meanwhile guys, if you really wanted to try it out with Amazon Linux machine and you want to try it out, I'll strongly advise go ahead. If you face any kind of a difficulty over there, just reach out to me in the comment box, and I'll be happy to help you out for that. Okay, so this example is for Ubuntu, but if you still wanted to go with Amazon Linux wrapper package available, you can go ahead with that as well, and let me know if you feel any kind of trouble over there. Okay, so now our code is ready, our build file is ready. Now let's quickly look into our target folder. There must be a fat jar created, and here it is, our fat jar got created. Okay, so now we wanted to execute this, so let's clear this screen out. To execute this, what we have to do is we have to provide the jar path as well as the main class path. Okay, so for that what we can do is java -cp and then target /-jar, which is this one, and then we need to provide the absolute path of our main class, which is this one. So I'll quickly paste it here, and then dot entry point, which is my main class name. So on execution of this, we'll see that we are successfully able to reach out and to get the data of our S3 bucket. Okay, so you can see the bucket name got loaded, data file name got loaded, the size of the file got loaded, when it is last modified, the time it got loaded, storage class is what we have loaded, right, who is the owner of that, everything got loaded successfully over here. Means our code is working pretty fine. Now you can extend this implementation, but just for the sake of make you aware with the Cloud9 environment and how it is working, I have created a very simple code. You can extend this and you can add a couple of more things onto that. If you really wanted to do use this repository and add your code into here only. Okay, so it will be helpful to other as well, right? So this is what the agenda of this lecture, this tutorial. Hope you like that. Okay, and if you really liked any of this part, I would request you to subscribe and like this video and subscribe my channel, because that is the only motivation which I'm receiving, right? So it will be helpful to me to make more such videos which will be helpful to you and which will give you a nice understanding of Cloud9 environment and help you to boost up your career in Cloud9. Okay, sorry, in AWS. Okay, so do reach out to me in comment box. Let me know if you wanted a specific video which you wanted to cover to me. Okay, and one more time, if you go through the complete videos which I have put it into my channel, I'm pretty sure that you will be able to understand and crack the solution architect certification course. Okay, thank you so much for joining me on this video. Have a great day, sir.